it does. Yeah.
Fortunately, we weren't recording quite yet. Jeff the Greek, Jeff Buch, rejoins us once again. He was just on 40 or so episodes ago, a little earlier this year. He's so kindly, graciously giving us his time again. Jeff, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Good to talk some Iowa football.
I'm sitting there 2 weeks ago, and I get a message from Jeff, and he says, "Hey, you want to do a little preview? I'm tired of acting like I don't hate half of these teams."
Fair. It's totally valid.
And if anyone who follows Jeff on Twitter, man, you are in the shit, man, and you get into it. I mean, you and Jim from Minnesota, the Husker fan, have like a book going back and forth. Just I see all the time. You're always going back and forth with him. Other fans in the Big Ten. You obviously, for those that are unaware, didn't watch episode 583 that we did with Jeff. He has his own podcast called Bigger 10.
No. Whoa.
Not Bigger 10. Eyes on Big. Not
Big.
Yeah, sorry. There's a lot of Big Ten podcasts. Bigger 10's a different podcast. Eyes on Big, where they cover the entire Big Ten. And then you obviously have the Iowa sort of, I don't know if you call it a bias, but background. Your partner has sort of the Illinois background.
Well, if I could explain through it. Certainly, I'm biased. Like, there is no hiding it. I have never hidden it from day one. I am a Hawkeye. Older brother played there. I played there. It's in my DNA. It's just that I grew up loving and watching football across, many different programs, many different conferences. So when my buddy and I got this thing going 7-8 years ago, we said, you know what? Nobody's talking specifically on the Big Ten. There's people talking on the freaking SEC all the time. So let's start something that's Big Ten specific. So at the time it was 14 teams. So we talked about all 14 teams across the board. And we decided to make the decision to not try to hide our true teams. He's an Illinois fan. I'm an Iowa guy. We think it's bullshit when people act like they're not biased when take anything in from ESPN, that it's biased towards the SEC, and most of the time it's biased towards the team, that they're connected to. So we decided to cut all the charades down, just be ourselves. But I will say this, tonight I'm going to probably be more Jeff Buch, the Iowa fan, but, relying on the research that AKA Jeffy the Greek did for the podcast, where I try to be as neutral as can be.
Yeah. So maybe you could put it in better words, but the goal of tonight's show, Jeff is going to help us, the walk-ons, all have just a candid discussion on Iowa's matchups against this year's schedule and Iowa State. We'll leave off Albany and UMass. Hope to God that we take care of those two teams. And if we don't, we just have bigger issues.
And there's no point in watching the rest of the season anyway.
There's no point in us podcasting the rest of the season. So Jeff is really the brains and the research behind this. As you know, very little research done on our end for anything that we've ever done. Jeff, however, again, if you've been following him on X, has done position breakdowns. I've got his Twitter pulled up here. His pinned tweet currently is his predictions that just came out. As we're recording this, they came out a few days ago. It'll be about a week ago when this podcast releases. And so you've clearly gone through it yourself and game by game decided who's going to win what. Because when you do a full Big Ten, which, by the way, I'm sure you were just ecstatic when they added those 4 teams. You're like, wow, we took this on as a 14-team deal, and now it's 18.
What are you going to do when it's just the Big Ten and SEC and there's 33 teams in the Big Ten?
Yeah.
I
think I'll be
28.
Peace out, I think, at that point. I don't think I have that in me. I think I'm at my max right now that I can handle as far as, because part of it is, you as Coach Fry used to say, you got to have the want to. If I don't want to break down these teams, it's not going to happen. And I can tell you right now, the left coast teams are right at my breaking point. I'm as close to being able to handle them as I can. Much past that, it's not going to happen for you, boy.
What's like one team if they add you just like I did just not doing it. I refuse to break down this team if they added in the Big Ten.
I'll answer it by saying this: the one team I would be willing to take on and stay committed would be Notre Dame. After that, any team outside of that, I'm done.
Does the conference gain a point back with Jeff Buch if they release or dispose of Rutgers and Maryland?
The conference would gain 100 points back if they cut out every team and just went back down to. You guys are too young. You maybe don't remember, but it used to be the Big Ten with the number 11 hidden in the logo when Penn State came on board. To me, that was the Big Ten that I really fell in love with right there. So now I will say
that was until Nebraska joined, and then they hit a 12 in there. Or no, did they? It became B1G after that.
Then it was B1G, which, by the way, I like the B1G. That's a good touch. And Nebraska was a geographical fit. Totally understood that. It started getting a little dicey, when it was Maryland Rutgers, but at least we got oh, there we go. That's the logo right there. So it was good. 1990 to 2011. Yeah, that's just chef's kiss right there.
That is chef's kiss. That's a great logo.
Yeah. Now I have. Like once Rutgers, Maryland came on, I've gotten to know some Rutgers and Maryland fans, believe it or not, and but
Rutgers fans out there.
There are not a ton. It's the proud few that are pretty boisterous, which by the way is pretty much every fan base. So I have done my best to try to bring in the 4 new teams. I thought Washington fans were going to be the most normal out of all 4, and the weird thing is they might be, and they're still D-holes for the most part. So like it's just not a cultural fit for the most part.
And you interact with a lot of these guys because the nature of your podcast gets everybody listening, which is the positive of your show is like you're pulling from you're just appealing to the Big Ten fan, the big and so that gets a lot of different personalities and burner accounts on Twitter, and you do a great job of handling. It's that meme or that like kind of funny joke that goes around that says, "Everybody be quiet, my TV show's on." Like when Jeff is going back and forth with burners on Twitter, that's me. It's like, "Hey, everybody be quiet, my TV show's on."
That's a phenomenal analogy, and I appreciate that. I was just talking to actually a human that's behind one of the burner accounts the other day. And I've had a couple dust ups this last couple days, but typically I try to be mostly the human I am in real life on Twitter /X. I believe there's enough toxicity in the country, in the world, our culture, whatever you want to say. I don't need to be adding to it. I got kids. Just had a great day with it's my youngest, almost turned 7. We went mini putt golfing. I kicked their butt, the wife and kids' butts, because you don't let up on them. But like I had a nice day. I don't want to then turn around and be this maniacal a-hole on Twitter. It's just not who I am. But every now and then a tweet gets under your skin and you it's hard to resist,
You tell me, it feels like from my point of view as an Iowa fan, we have these 4 rivalry games, and you actually in a lot of conversations sort of end up saying like, yeah, Nebraska is kind of like the least rivalish of those when you talk about historical best like all these different things. On Twitter, I get a little bit of Iowa State, but on Twitter X, it is always Nebraska. It is the shit talking between Nebraska and Iowa fans it far outweighs. It's like 100x. I don't think there's
any other team by far.
I don't think I've ever seen any Nebraska or Wisconsin person talk shit. Ever.
Oh, never. No.
Minnesota, you get like one every couple months. Iowa State, one every couple days. Nebraska, it just seems like it's endless. It's unbelievable.
I would
is
say,
that about right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say out of 100 engagements, 80 of them are Nebraska fans. 12 are Iowa State fans. 7 are Minnesota fans, and then 1 was the same Wisconsin fans over and over again.
Wisconsin's in a tough spot. They don't have a lot to say. Like I've even seen them conceding lately. They're like, Fickle was horrible idea. We suck. We don't have an identity. They've just completely lost
because they're realistic.
They're down bad right now.
They're down bad. But I would love to ask you guys the same thing. I mean, you run into Wisconsin fans in the wild. I got to think a little bit. For the most part, I would say both Minnesota and Wisconsin fans are a little bit more affable. You can sit and have a conversation. They're realistic about the expectations of their teams. That to me is more representative of why they're not so unhinged crazy on Twitter.
Yeah. That I think they're real Midwest people. Nebraska's getting a little far out there, and they don't have these just crazy, like you said, real unrealistic expectations of their program. They're, grounded from experience. And I think, especially with Wisconsin, like for the longest time, like we always had a lot of respect for each other's programs.
Absolutely.
Like, it was a rivalry on the field, but like you didn't see any of this bullshit, not shaking hands at midfield stuff, just this extracurricular stuff or talking crap in the media. Like it just didn't exist between that team. So like it was a great game on the field, great rivalry, always physical, but it kind of stayed between the lines.
And I think that's been representative of the way KF and Coach Fry handled their business and the way most Wisconsin coaches have handled their business all through that. It was always viewed as a respectful thing towards each other, at least as far as what I could pull out of it. The feeling I get from Nebraska fans is you're just lucky. You've gotten us at this time, the worst time in the history of our program. Really the only reason you've beat us 9 out of 10 times. And then I don't know if you guys get this feeling, but it's always this, once we get you, which by the way, Sam McEwen put out, it's definitely happened this year, if not by 2 or 3 touchdowns. And then it's just like, they think it's a watershed moment that once they beat us, it's just never going to stop. The worm will turn and we will never lose a game. Do you guys get that same feeling yourself?
Yeah.
Seen a tweet or two that's like that.
We're a Cooper DeJean
merchant
concussion away from not losing to them since 2014.
Yeah. I do get that, Jeff. I don't understand. They do approach that the rivalry, the back and forth with like once we finally get over that hump, totally sort of just turning a blind eye to the fact that they're basically saying Iowa is their measuring stick in that argument. It's like, hey, once we get over the hump of you guys, that's when we've made it as a pro. I mean, that's a whole other conversation that they don't want to hear.
It's like a book of cell phones every time they put something out there like that.
And you've actually been in a lot of discussion with Nebraska people in the last couple of days, specifically pertaining to the Big Ten West schedule and some of that stuff. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, and I do want to take this time to say there are multiple Nebraska fans that hit me up in DMs and apologize for those type of Nebraska fans. If you talk to Nebraska fans by and large in person, I'm not saying none of them are like that, but it's a much more realistic point of view that you'll get in person. To a certain degree, I think we've all said this before. Twitter is not real life; it's just a shade of it. So, like, I do want to make sure I say that. But yeah, I put my predictions out. I really do my best to try to make these as accurate as I can. What I think I see. And, for the most part, Nebraska fans have been realistic about it. But it's been shocking how many DMs I've got with them saying to me, you just don't know what we have with this guy. You just don't know what we have with this group. And probably to a degree, I will never understand these teams as much as a fan of the team understands their team. I have a job, I have wife, kids, a house to take care of. Like, there's only so much time I'm going to put into this. The one thing that I'm starting to get bullish and maybe a bit arrogant on is replying back, You don't know the other 17 teams like I do. And I talk to insiders, and they like things about their squad as well. And you're not taking that into account. Every single fan base does it. This is not just a comment on Nebraska fans, but that's the one thing where if everybody went through the exercise of getting to know somebody from one of the teams and doing research, you would find that there's a lot of good football players in the Big Ten, not just on a few teams.
Yeah, it's like when the Big Ten does their little, Jake Butt and Dave Rebson, and they're going around on their Big Ten football tour or whatever, and that just wrapped up last week. And you read their comments, the positive side, like my positive takeaways from Iowa City, from Lincoln, and you're like, if you read each one of those from every single team, you're like, well, fuck, no one's gonna lose a game this year.
We're like, well, damn, Northwestern's got a squad this
year. No one's losing. They have all these guys I didn't even know about that. Like this, he thinks they're gonna be great. They're gonna be good. They got this guy back, and you're like, but then every Saturday, every matchup, one team has to walk away with the L, and one team walks away with the W, and in the end, it equals out. And it's always.
I think if everybody did their own predictor, it's a website. Just go. It's like playoffpredictors.com. It's not hard to find. It's easy. It's free. Just go for it. Here's what we said on the podcast. I guarantee you, across the board, I will have your team ranked lower in the predictions than what you'll have them. I guarantee it. However, I bet you of the other 17 teams and all those games that you have to predict, you will also have 3 or 4 teams that will surprise you yourself on where Michigan lands or Nebraska lands or whatever. Because again, as far as I can tell, every college football game that's been played for, the last 25 years has come away with a winner or a loser. So somebody's got to walk away with that L.
I think Minnesota and Iowa tied twice, actually. I just saw a big chart posted like back in the 30s or 40s somewhere on there. No ties in today's football. It is why this time of year is so great, is because no one has lost a game yet.
It's amazing.
And everybody feels great about their guys. If you go into any camp, I guess maybe they're coming out of camp at this point. As we record this, it's Sunday the 17th. Technically, next week is football. Technically, this week is football.
So it's game week right now.
It's game week for, funny enough,
Lambs.
the Iowa State. Yeah, the Cyclones. Who we will get your opinion on in a second. It's what makes this time of year awesome. Everybody's undefeated still, and there's no reason to have concern over losing a game until there is. Briefly, what goes into this research? How does Jeff sit down and look at 18 teams, and where do you pull from, and how do you draw conclusions in that craziness?
It's a great question. Yeah, it's a great question. Shout out to Brett Ciancia with Pick Six previews. I'm sure you could have him on the podcast. He does an excellent job. I consider Brett. Look at that. Got it right in front of you. Got the binder. That is phenomenal.
And that's why he's the producer.
That's why.
Yes, that is phenomenal. Brett does a great job. There's another magazine that I use just visually is Lindy's. That's it. That's the only two I do right there, because Lindy's does such a good job for depth charts. Ourlads.com actually does a fantastic job for depth charts. Then I do this crazy thing. I use my own eyeballs where I watch these games. I watch games on replay. The kids typically go to bed at about an 8:30 clip on school nights during the year. Gives me about 2 hours before I'm sawing logs to you can get a lot of football watched in those Big Ten and 60. One of the greatest inventions of modern day technology right there. So I really try to watch. Then the trick is finding an insider that's a normal human being that knows their football, but isn't so deep into the weeds that they can't find a single flaw. So I try to find a realistic person, and I talk to them and I ask them questions, and that's what gets plugged into what I'm seeing. So it's a combination of eyes and ears, use both, and then putting it down on paper.
There you go. Way more than I do. Grant could probably do that. We should just have you do that, Grant. We should have you come out with your own
preview magazine.
Your walk-on preview.
Oh boy.
And we could sell it on the Patreon. We just put it on the Patreon for free. It could be part of our Patreon offering.
We could try.
Hit the Patreon, by the way, if you're interested. Walk On Apparel on the QR code down there in the corner. Come and see us next week. We're going to be at Fry Fest.
Nice.
And when I say we, I mean me and Kevin for a couple hours because Grant lives in another state and Kevin has a real job. What else?
So, Jeff, I'm just going to throw this out here. Do you think the Big Ten is leaving money on the table by not allowing what kind of like what the NFL has and being able to watch the all-22 film of all teams?
Yeah, they probably are. I would love it myself. I would love to know what the average college coach feels about that, though. I think there is a special form of craziness with college football fans. You start feeding them the all 22, like across the board. My guess is you combine that with Twitter and the coaches, and conferences are like, no thanks, we don't need that.
Yeah, but I mean, NFL fans are just as crazy. No, there's some crazy. I mean, maybe athletic directors are more sensitive to a college fan base than a GM is to the NFL fan base. Maybe that's something.
Definitely, yeah.
Where it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, no coach in general wants to see, just shit football for everyone out there to see. Is like, it's tough to catch sometimes from the TV views, of
for sure
what's really going on in the field, especially inside the box. But it's hard to hide on the all 22 film.
I mean, you guys all know it. You go to a live football game and you're like, oh, left tackle's getting abused. Like there's no hiding that guy right now. It's just tougher to find that on TV. That stuff pops up more on the all 22.
My favorite is the people who watch it happens in the stadium too, and they're like, the guy's wide open. Like, yeah, the DB fell off because the ball was thrown 3 seconds ago. Like, you're not watching this the same way, buddy. Stuff like that. Alcohol,
now those people are also sitting either 2 rows in front of or directly behind me at Kinnick too. So those people have
every time somehow too.
Yeah,
every time. Those
people have been hard to avoid since, well, I would say about the invention of football would be my guess.
Yeah, it's tough. Okay. So that sets the table a little bit for how Jeff does his deal. He has his thoughts. Again, we're just going to skip those first 2 games, but in between those first 2 games, to kick off the football season, Iowa State plays this upcoming weekend against K-State, Farmageddon in Ireland.
It's kind of a big game, Big 12 implication-wise.
Huge game.
Huge.
And we will see them week 2, Jeff, which will actually be I believe their 3rd game. So, so what are we looking at with the Cyclones this year? Where are the matchups? How does Iowa win that game if they're going to win that game? It's in Ames. They haven't beat us in it. It seems like the opposing team has the upper hand in this rivalry somehow over the last decade plus.
Yep.
What are your thoughts there?
And just going to precursor this thing by saying I did deep dives, tier rankings for every team in the Big Ten. Iowa State is not in the Big Ten. So Iowa State is more just my own personal research. Just wanted to at least throw that out there. I think about last year's game quite a bit. And I know that our all-star running back is gone, but boy, we were pushing their shit in pretty good. Offensive line to their defensive line for most of that game. I think the one mistake that was made, Tim Lesser had an excellent year last year. I think about as good as Iowa fans could have hoped, year one went, especially essentially not starting a quarterback, not having a quarterback level guy to throw out there for about half the games. And I think what the issue that was made there in that game was that they thought they could rely on their 7th-year quarterback to go put the game away. But instead, he brought Iowa State back into the game. So if we would have done nothing more than just run the ball, play defense, and special teams, I don't think we lose that game. In fact, I think we'd probably run away with it in that capacity. So how much? So
basically, what you're saying is like we should have gone back to the 2022 model for the second half of that game, and we would have been just fine.
Shine a Brian Ferentz signal into the sky.
Should have punted on first down We would have won.
You could make that argument. It might have worked even better. Yeah. So, but and I understand Lester's point of view. That he thought Cade McNamara was
I know what play you're talking about. It's like it was either they just had a shitty punt or we got a turnover. We're in plus territory, early second half, up 13-0, something like that. And we do like a little kind of a gimmicky play, and Cade just throws a horrible ball. Like it wasn't there. You just got to eat it, throw it away, something. Guy's not even open, and he throws an even worse ball. And I think they throw a 75-yard touchdown the next play.
That's the play I was thinking of, yeah. And I'm certainly none of us were in the huddle, but I have to think the coaching was either during the week or as he was talking into the headset. If it's not there, eat it or throw it away. I gotta think, was communicated.
For any play that's beyond a routine play, that's pretty much the standard. Is just don't force it, especially not now.
You know how it is.
I get the call, right? That's
absolutely
throw a dagger right there. Game's over, right?
It's like, hey Kev, it's like when we walked out. It's like when we walked out there with the green light for a fake on punt, and you're like, oh, but is there any way we can justify it? Is there any way we can? Yeah, Nebraska. I know it's completely flipped, but can we just call the flip on the field and just run it? And Cade, you gave Cade that green light, and he's like, I'm pulling the trigger, and he pulled it.
Yeah, maybe if he spent more time in the film room instead of running around town with his hairdresser, he would have known not to throw into coverage at that particular time. But it is what it is. And then even after that, I mean, we still have the lead. But kudos to Iowa State. I mean, as much shade as I do like to give the program history in general, obviously they're a much better coach team under Campbell. I mean, I think any realistic Iowa fan says that. But it still took incredible plays by two incredible wide receivers that are apparently turning heads at their NFL camps right now. I was
going to say, I think one's going to start.
Aren't they both on the Texans now?
Yeah,
both on the Texans.
Okay. I heard one is in a starting position, already worked his way up into starting conversation.
So it is. I tend to believe that it's tough for Iowa State to stay up 2 years in a row like that. There's people that I know fairly well that believe Kansas State is squarely the better team that's in Ireland right now. We'll see soon enough here. I know for some of your listeners, they will have already watched that game. But along the lines, I don't believe Iowa has some sort of just overwhelming advantage, but I see an advantage both with our offensive line and their defensive line, and then both side, and then the other side as well. I'm really high on Iowa's offensive line. I know we still got some questions at left tackle, but I think this is somehow an underrated offensive line. So I'm excited to see the game plan. Like you guys mentioned, like the old school approach. I wonder if that's kind of more what we see going into this game. But we actually have a quarterback and some receivers this year, so I'm not like overly bullish. But listen, it's a Big Ten podcast. I'm a Hawkeye fan. I hate picking Iowa State to beat Iowa if I did that podcast till I was 100 years old. So that's just how that's going to go.
I agree. I'll echo the one thing that made me a little bit more excited about chatter from the offseason is that when I'm pretty sure it was when Lystico had Lester on, and Lester was talking about how much time he spent in the offseason sort of just learning Iowa State and their defense and how that worked, and how much more time he spent on it this offseason than he was able to last offseason because of all the new shit that he was having to worry about. It seemed like as a play caller against that defense, he feels much more comfortable, or at least knows a lot better where he wants to go in that game this year than he did last year. Couple that with a competent quarterback, supposedly a more than competent wide receiver room, a fine running back room, a great O-line. Yeah, I like it. I think about that game a lot too. Kev, when we lost Iowa State in 2014, it was on a field goal, last second field goal?
Yep.
Yeah, so that has shades of that last year's game. And that's like a bad nightmare deja vu that kind of goes through my brain.
There's no worse feeling than walking off the field after
No.
Buzzer. Yeah.
Nope. I was
That
on the
hurts.
field when the long streak came to an end. So that's something that you never fully shake. And let's be honest, as far as the psyche of the fans, a little bit with the team, but everybody knows how good Kirk Ferentz is at maintaining the drive for the football team, almost regardless of what happens Saturday before. Like, he's a freaking wizard when it comes to, like, people that never play just don't understand like how great he is at that and why it is hard to quote unquote just win 8 games every year. Jay Higgins, right? He just had a quote that's like, he's so good, he makes 8 wins seem routine. Like that was a great quote that he threw out there. So anyways, the team will be fine regardless, but the fan base and the excitement around the team, it matters a lot what's going to happen on September 6th. Like I'm sure you guys are getting the same feeling. I'm sure you feel it yourself.
Oh, I feel the butterflies every year. It's like, God, we can't, like, this is, and people have pointed out recently too, it has been indicative of season success in the past.
No doubt.
So it will be interesting. The K-State opener for them is interesting.
Yeah, it's a tough start to the season.
Yeah, it's tough, but it also gives them a hell of a test to kind of grease the groove. I don't know where that swings, but I do know that if you're going to watch any of these games that we're talking about, Big Grove Brewery is a place that you should be doing. The official watch party of the Iowa Hawkeyes this year, the official beer. Have you guys had the Citrus Surfer?
Very good. Love the Citrus
Is
Surfer.
that like a summer beer, Grant? You tell me.
I mean, it's if you like it enough, it's an anytime beer.
It's an
But
anytime
sure, yeah,
beer?
it accents the summer well.
I've got
as does a nice Easy Eddie though at any time.
Of course. I've got the Here for Beer shirt on right now, black and gold,
Phenomenal.
more of a black and yellow. Yellow, not exactly my color, but I'll wear any merch. And I've got the Citrus Surfer. Look at that little koozie. Great branding. Big Grove Brewery there for all of your needs this year. If you can't make the game in Iowa City, you can hit one of their 5 locations. They've got some great spots. Kevin loves going there. Talks about it all the time.
Oh yeah.
My family, my brother lives in Solon, so the Solon
there you
Big
go.
Grove is where
The OG. The OG tap room.
Yeah, the Solon Big Grove's got good food.
Amazing.
So I didn't know this, but like each location has a different food menu.
Really?
Oh,
Well, that's cool.
it's news to me.
Let's get into the Big Ten schedule. If we can get through Iowa State, hopefully we do. 3-0. We start with on this schedule, a nice entry in Rutgers. What do we see in Rutgers, Jeff?
I got us going 3-0 going into that game right there. So Rutgers maybe was a little bit more anxiety inducing in the offseason. Then you do some digging. There's a lot of newness that is in the Rutgers team. There's not really anybody on any level of their defense that you can point to and say, there's the guy. They've got new faces all over the place on defense. On offense, they're always going to be run it down your throat. Shiano is very KF-like as far as his approach. And I mean, he's a great coach. If Iowa goes to the East Coast, this is a Friday night game. Some people may forget that. So
don't like that.
Do not like that. That probably is the scariest thing. There's a really good chance Rutgers will be undefeated coming into that game. They play 3 patsies before the Hawks. I can tell you right now by talking to the Rutgers insiders that this is one of those games that you get, Kevin, Tyler, you guys know this. Iowa is the sneaky thing that makes it tough coaching at Iowa is that everybody goes, okay, we're not ready for Michigan and Ohio State. Who is that next team down that's fucking good? That if we get them, it's a big deal. That's Iowa. That is how they're viewing this game. So we're definitely going to have to screw the helmets on tight. If it's a game that Iowa plays sloppy, I mean, we don't walk out of Piscataway with the win. It's just my personal opinion that their quarterback, Ethan Kaliakmanis, formerly of Minnesota, not the type of quarterback that you want to put the ball in his hands and say, go win it, versus Phil Parker. So overall, I feel like they got to flip the quarter and get heads like 4 or 5 times in a row to beat Iowa. But if we slip up, they can do it.
I think that point right there is a good one to make across really any Big Ten game, like any year. Who's the worst team in the conference this year? Purdue? Is it Purdue?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say so.
Them are Maryland or the Ugly Sisters.
And I'm telling you right now that the average fan has no idea how actually still thin of a margin it would be to sleepwalk into West Lafayette and be like, oh shit, we're in a ball game with the Boilermakers. Like it's not that tough because every team. I know they're bad. I know they're bad, but
yeah.
Sometimes talent just makes it work, but I was rarely that talented where it just happens like that.
Sure. So
I'm going to make one comment here, though, as we start to get, towards the end of September, week 4, they would always say like, oh, they don't have that many returning starters in the first couple of weeks. So like, we don't know a whole lot about these guys. By the time we get towards the end of September, Coach Parker would be like, they started 3 games already. They're starters, right? I don't care if they're returning starters or not. Like, they should know what they're doing out there. So, experience starts to come along. So the lack of experience isn't as much of a hit on them further you go into the season.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I agree, but the guys or the teams they have before Iowa, I don't know if are going to give them a realistic look of what a Big Ten front 7 and O-line looks like that Iowa's going to be bringing to town. Their defense is almost entirely transfers or young kids that they're bringing up in the program. I mean, we're talking like 2 or maybe 3 guys that have been wearing a Rutgers uniform in meaningful football contests. So,
wow.
Not saying that Iowa's going to roll out their hats and score 40 points, but I would expect. Yeah.
You got an outfit out there of guys who aren't super, super comfortable with any depth of a playbook where you shift twice and motion over and they don't know what the hell they're running anymore.
I'll say this too. This is a game where you have the opportunity as the Hawks to really sort of quiet some like doubts of, can this team work on a weird week? Can this team work on the road? I know they're going to already be at Iowa State, but regardless of outside factors, it's like, that one's always going to be a 1-score ball game. Rutgers is a team where if things go right, and this team is who we think they could be, you're like, okay, we handle this team, we win by 3 scores. It's that sort of thing where you're like, this is one where you can sort of establish like, we're not fucking around this year. We're not going to play with that 6-7 win range. We're going to be a team that's fighting for the 9-10 win range potentially.
That just got me excited. Whew, that got me jazzed up. I love it. I mean,
it could be.
Yep.
And then you're going to go into that next week, a week of which I will be in town. Indiana comes to Kinnick, a playoff team last year. They're looking a little bit different this year. Signetti, though, has the boys rolling, has Bloomington teed up more than it ever has been for football in a long time. And that's going to be a test. Preseason ranked number 19 or something like that.
Yeah.
How do we fare there, Jeff?
I think this is the best team on our schedule up to this point. So I think Indiana clears Iowa State, at least as far as top to bottom roster. Got a good offseason pickup for quarterback. Siggy can coach. It's not just X's and O's. The work that he did on the O&D line his first year and what he brought to the table last year, it's incredible, man. Like, they're gonna have to make a documentary about that season.
That's how you win in the Big Ten.
100%. Like, he just went right at it. This is another good O-line, D-line combination for Indiana. A little bit of a step down with their D-line. They have arguably one of, if not the best linebacker in the Big Ten in Aiden Fisher. Like, they have got a superstar at D-line, linebacker, and secondary. Pons, the cornerback, he is an eraser. Whoever he's on, I don't know. Don't see it happening that day for Iowa's passing game on that side of the field. So now there are holes around them, those superstars on the defense. So we'll see how it develops and looks at that time. It's just that as of right now, I think it'll look good. Kind of the same thing on offense where they've got a stud here and there. They are a little bit. They got new faces in the rushing game, so we'll see exactly how that looks. But like, I know Indiana fans, by the way, I'm telling you, man, any fan base, they get some success, they pop. But Indiana fans have been very respectful, saying, well, I remember the last time we took a ranked team into Kinnick and Penix got mossed twice on national TV. So like that wound is still there. So like a lot of Indiana fans are, interesting enough, are like writing this off as a loss. We're getting the Hoosiers right after they play Illinois. So hopefully Beatles crew beats them up a little bit for us when they're in Champaign. So that's Indiana's at home, excuse me. So that's advantageous, I think, a little bit for Iowa.
That's a real thing. Yeah, that's a real thing. I remember listening to one guy who would always bet against the team the week after they played Alabama because they just got the shit kicked out of them the week before.
Yeah.
And like he won at like a 60-something% clip. Have they announced a game time for that one yet?
It's not announced yet. It's either 11, 2:30, or 3 o'clock. Not quite announced.
Okay. I could see that being a big noon kickoff game.
I was gonna say, I feel like that has noon written all over it.
Small spoiler alert, because I am going to bring this up at the end. I could just bring it up now. This Jeff is a team that you have in the same tier at the end of the season, 6-3 in the conference, 9-3 overall, right there with your Iowa Hawkeyes as far as your predictions go. So that kind of shows where you have them respectfully. Let me just right there.
There you go.
So Indiana, Iowa, Washington, USC, and Michigan all in the same tier for you as far as the conference goes at 6-3, split records between 9-3 and 8-4. Their total. So only 3 losses on Iowa's schedule for you. Only 3 on Indiana's. Which way does this game go in your mind?
When I did my tiered power rankings to really make myself sound like a nerd here, I have Indiana. The lower the number is the better. By the way. I have Indiana 2.61 and Iowa 2.66. That's about as close as you can possibly get. But it's all those things that I just said. It's Kinnick. It's my faith in Tim Lester, LeVar Woods, Phil Parker, them coming off of Illinois. Listen, this is close. You know, when you do these predictions, I have Indiana, Iowa, both 9-3, Iowa winning this game. If somebody says they're adamant that they think Indiana is going to win this game, this isn't one of those games I'm going to put up a gigantic fight on. Like, this is going to be a battle. Like I put a tweet out like a couple weeks ago and it says, you know, there's so many fans that are just so boisterous and cocky this time of year. And what they don't realize is if the 12th ranked team goes into the 40th ranked team and has a third quarter turnover, that's probably it. That's all it takes to even those teams up. So this game is
that's the margin.
It's on the margins. This game is 100% on the margins.
I personally did a little tier ranking of how I see the difficulty of our opponents last week somehow, and I had 4 sort of those coin flip games: Iowa State, Indiana, USC, and Nebraska. And so this one definitely falls into that. Yeah, I see that same territory as like, yeah, if you got a bunch of smart people telling me Indiana's going to get this one, I'm going to cautiously sit back and go, okay, I believe you. I think it's going to be close. I love that it's in Kinnick. I do.
And I would go so far as to say if this was in Bloomington, I know it's not the a cathedral of college football by any stretch, but I would flip this for the
that's almost it's literally the home field advantage that is the potential deciding factor.
Kinnick's worth a couple points
for sure.
Yes,
for sure.
Sir.
Especially
yes,
if you get a little big noon kickoff, the city's buzzing, campus.
Or do we want to lathered up 2:30, 3 o'clock kickoff, so when it's night and the booze and the Easy Eddies have soaked in a little bit, the Kinnick's a little louder.
Easy either way. I think it's good to have in Kinnick. So you have you've got a 5-0 Hawkeye squad going into
5-0 start.
Going into Camp Randall.
Yep.
Is that a trap game? Is that a scary game?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Oh boy. On our predictions pod, my pod partner Kurt and I, we did the games we struggled with the most to pick. This one was number one for me. I've got a sixth sense about these things. I swear. I predicted Iowa to lose at UCLA last year. Just felt like I saw it coming. And that's the same eerie feeling I'm getting with this game right here. So I got an eerie feeling
behind that feeling. Anything concrete or just a feeling?
Two things. Number one, Wisconsin's better than I think a lot of people are maybe giving them credit for. I will give Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell deserves slings and arrows for trying to do the dairy raid or whatever that bullshit was that he did in Wisconsin. I'm glad he did
dairy
it.
raid. I haven't heard that. That's good.
Yeah. So they're back to Wisconsin football. Former Hawkeye coaching their offensive line. Unfortunately, I think he's doing a great job. So they're going to be back to trying to run the ball downhill. This is going to be back to an Iowa, Wisconsin type of game.
They switching up the offensive style this year? They're abandoning the spread?
It's gone. They are as going back to as close to what Paul Chryst run as you can, really try. Not the exact same. Obviously, there's nuances with all these offenses. So, but it's certainly going to be a run first type of offense, play action. Better quarterback than they've had. It's Edwards over from Maryland, who when he is healthy and not trying to win the game, he was a quarterback that impressed us a lot on the Eyes on Big podcast. So can they coach him into being a smarter quarterback? If they can, it'll be a better offense. Honestly, the thing and then also if you look at Wisconsin's schedule where Iowa's at, I don't have it right off the, I don't have it in front of me, but we're talking, it's like Alabama, Ohio State, Iowa, Oregon, something like that. So in my opinion, Luke Fickell is looking at that and saying, that is the game out of that stretch that we absolutely have got to have. So we go Alabama.
Alabama by Michigan, Iowa. And they're probably looking at 3-2 coming into this game versus Iowa. And like you said, they might be playing for their season at this point. Like they lose that game, they're 3-3 and they're looking down a absolute gauntlet.
Jesus Christ, they go.
Correct.
That's unbelievable. I didn't know they had Blazek on the staff. That's he's a good dude.
Oh yeah, I didn't know he's the all-line coach now, huh?
I didn't know he was. I didn't know he was with them. He actually, funny enough, 12 years ago, when we were coming out of high school, he recruited my best friend quarterback for us out of college, trying to get him to go to
Illinois. Is that where he's at?
At Winona State for when we were coming out of high school. But then in 14-15 he went to 13 he went to Western Illinois. He was in Marshalltown several times, like in my buddy's living room, trying to get him to come. And then obviously he made that connection of Iowa and talked to me a little bit too. He's a really good dude. So that's unfortunate that he's a Badger now.
I know. I don't feel good about it, but I also got to give the guy his flowers because I think he's going to get that offensive line. Now, the one thing AJ can't do much about is the defense. So, to Tressel, I always want to say Jim Tressel, like Mike Tressel. I've been impressed. I tell you, I don't know about you guys, but we called him Leon Hard, Jimmy Leon Hard on the Eyes on Big podcast. I straight up popped some Amador whiskey and freaking celebrated when that son of a bitch was out of the Big Ten. He made life freaking miserable.
Where's he at now? He spent a year in Illinois. Where'd he go?
He's in the NFL. He went as like a secondary coach at one point and then just took over. It's like the Colts or something. Like, don't tell me. Once you go to the no fun league, all my knowledge drops with football pretty quick. So, I mean, I felt like when Leon Hard left, it's Jim Leonard, by the way. He's the
Denver
edge,
Broncos, by the way, in case you're curious.
Broncos. There you go.
Right
division. The edge left Wisconsin. I feel like the edge has left Wisconsin. I mean, that was you guys watched the game last year. They gave up in the second half. I mean, we just caved them in. What was it, 300 some yards rushing? So, like, ultimately, my faith in Tim Lester and this offensive line, and me needing to see a Tressel defense turn this thing around that's where I edged Iowa, but my spidey sense is going off big time.
Edging over Iowa.
Just edging. It would be nice to catch them like two games down the schedule where they actually have half their team left from injury, because of their schedule. I don't have that feeling that you have, that sort of sixth sense. I have it for other games and for less good reasons. But again, I think everybody has those weird feelings for different teams. That's the kind of feeling I get for like the USC game and the Michigan State game. But again, for maybe recent history reasons, because of how we performed out west last year and against Michigan State last year. And maybe it's because I love beating Wisconsin so much, because when we were there, we got them 1 out of 5 times, and it was just like so sweet to get them in 15. So now that we've kind of had their number the last 5 years, I just like have blocked it out of my mind that they handled us for so long. And for me, it's just like, yeah, they're our team now. Like we've got them. So I really hope, and I do think that if we're 5-0, I think we're 6-0 after that week. Which brings us. I
like your version better. Let's go with yours.
Yeah, I do too.
Don't listen to me. Yeah.
Which brings us to what some are saying, potentially the best team in the country. Penn State Nittany Lions come to Iowa City on October 18th this year. One of the big dogs. Another one, along with Oregon and Indiana, of those playoff teams from last year. They're good.
Yeah, they're good.
They're really good.
Yep. Dang, how long did it take you to get to that analysis, Kluver?
I spent hours. I spent hours listening to people.
Your reward for getting an hour into this is that Penn State is probably going to be good.
And they are
come to listen for.
Good. What do you think about them, Jeff?
They're freaking good. They're what I did offensive line rankings. Iowa and Penn State were 1A and 1B. They've got some absolute maulers up front. Switching over to defense, pick a poison. Front 7, back 7. They've got NFL studs everywhere. Running game, switching back to the other side. They not only have the best running back combo in the Big Ten, they might have the 2 best running backs in the Big Ten that are on their team. Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. And then you go to quarterback, Drew Aller. I somehow have wound up becoming a Drew Aller apologist, because idiots on X, like we have talked about before, shitting all over this guy. Whereas Lenora Sellers apparently can walk on water, the South Carolina quarterback, even though he got his dick handed to him by Illinois in the bowl game, but never mind. So to me, Drew Aller is a stud. I think he's about the only quarterback in the Big Ten that looks like a first-round draft pick to me. I believe, personally, that he's been doing it without a receiver essentially on the roster. If even one, but especially 2 of these receivers that they got hit, we're all in trouble playing this team, because I don't know where the weakness is at, unless they have an injury bug. Because I don't believe their depth is good. That even my proudest Penn State insiders, my guy Perk and Jake, good dudes, they have definitely copped up to that. And as far as the receivers, they got arguably the best receiver in the transfer portal, and Pena, and then Ross is the guy that you saw running downfield, hardly untouched when he was playing for Troy last year. They got a couple other guys coming up too. So the only thing that I can say is, maybe the throw game isn't gelled, but by that time in the year, I got to think it will be, because, oh, by the way, their offensive coordinator is excellent and their defensive coordinator is Jim Knowles. So you know what? I'm getting depressed. I don't even want to talk about this.
Well, anymore. and so it is what it is. There's really, really good teams every single year. Kevin and I were on a couple teams that beat said teams in said tier, found one, right? And it's one of those things where the stars align. Everything is perfect that day. you get that game into the second half where it's still manageable. You're still within reach, and you just somehow instill a little bit of doubt, a little bit of, ooh, this is harder than we thought it was going to be, and you might have a chance to make it dirty. Turnovers, and
we need keep it close for 55 minutes,
and things have to bounce your way for the first 30 minutes to even to give you a chance.
How did your amazing historic game versus Ohio State start in 2017? Pick six. So that's what we need, something like that.
Which there's no reason that can't happen. It just doesn't happen often.
It's college football.
But we have Cohen Intringer. I mean, he might do that.
Wow, the coaches are high on that kid, huh? That's gonna be fun to watch.
He's there's some people that were gifted some things genetically, and he's one of them. His frame is like perfect for football.
I wish I knew that feel.
Same. None of us on this podcast know. So I imagine this is one of your 3 losses in your prediction.
That it is, yeah. And by the way, just to throw salt on the wound, they have the game versus Oregon, which is at home, the whiteout, and then they go to UCLA and Northwestern, so they even have like a little tune-up before they come into Kinnick as well.
Wow, love that.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, did you enjoy the play?
It's a great opportunity for the Hawks. We get them in Kinnick Stadium. It's a great game for fans to be able to go see a potential, who knows, maybe a national championship football team. And
excellent point.
If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, right? So there's no shying away. I don't think anybody in Hawkeye Nation is like, oh, I wish we couldn't play Penn State this year. Like, it is what it is. You play the big dogs. Yep. You step toe to toe. You each get 11. You go out there. You let it rip. We get to back off of those big dogs for a week, and we get Minnesota at home. Tell me that PJ Fleck and the Gophers are still just mid.
They're mid plus, right? They've been the poor man's version of the Hawkeyes for ever since PJ's basically his second year. Yeah. I got listen, I don't have to like somebody to respect them. Helps, of course, but I respect PJ's coaching prowess. They do things the right way. There are Gopher fans. I live in the land of the Gophers, 10,000 lakes. So certainly Minnesota fans are proud and out there.
He just signed a good deal, didn't he?
I think sure. Yeah. But the get out clause is, if PJ finds the job, he could take off. And I don't know who's going to take it.
I don't see any bigger program than Minnesota, like going after, hey, we want this guy to be the face of our program. I just don't see it.
We want to row the fucking boat.
Which he owns.
He does. He has backed down with that stuff a little bit. If I'm trying to be as neutral as can be. But with that being said, they will have a rookie quarterback, redshirt freshman quarterback that Minnesota fans are very fond of. I think he is talented. He was a gem that they uncovered. He should have been more heavily recruited by bigger programs. So shout out to PJ for finding him. So I do think he's a talented kid, but as a redshirt freshman, some questions on the offensive line. So we'll see what it looks like by the time they get there. Darius Taylor, their running back, absolute stud. When I said that Penn State might have the 2 best running backs in the Big Ten, Darius Taylor would be, 2B or 3. Like he is really good both in the throw game and running between tackles. So this is a good team, good defense. Coy Parrish is their safety and kind of all around guy. He's trying to do the Cooper DeJean impression right now. We'll see how it goes. So this is a good Minnesota team. I don't think it's great. I think Iowa has enough advantage with the margins along the lines that they win this game. But kill me for saying this again, but it's I always got to play good. They got to play a clean game, and if they do it, then I think they win.
Another one that we get in Kinnick, which is nice. And to make it 3 in a row, the Ducks come to Kinnick
after a bye week.
After a bye week.
Probably a much needed one by that point.
Certainly going to need one after those first 8 games. Kevin and I will be in the building. They're going to honor us that day.
Yeah?
Me and Kevin.
They're putting our names on the field, I think.
Yeah, me and Kevin's
statues in both end zones.
It's
that's right. The statue's going up right next to Kinnick.
Yeah, me and Kevin are going on the sides of Kinnick. I'm going to be in my snapper position.
If they made one for me, it'd be right outside the sports column.
Nice. Hey, Spoko, let's go.
21 pitchers around you.
So, yeah.
Actually, that's a nice little entry. If they made a statue of me, put it outside of Gray's Gourmet to Go. I want to be right outside of Gray's. Put a
chicken lips.
Put a chicken lip in my hand, man. Me and my wife and children. Well, I guess not the baby, but the older child had chicken for dinner tonight before we hopped on the pod, and I was thinking, man, if this was Gray's, it would be a little bit better. Have you ever had Gray's, Jeff? Have you had the opportunity?
I have not. Didn't even know that existed until you just said it just now.
Well, if you get to Iowa City or anybody else listening to the show, Gray's Gourmet to Go, order it for your tailgate. Order it for your at-home watch party. Get you a slice of pizza. They do pizza. They do chicken lips. They do a couple other things. They dial in on the things that they're good at. Go and catering.
Do they serve duck by chance? Huh? See that little
They will.
Right there?
They will if you want them to.
I was picking up what you were putting down.
He probably will serve duck that week.
Thanks, Grant.
These are the people that also happen to feed the football team, and every now and then comes in a special meal for who we're playing against. After the win versus Minnesota, there's always a roasted pig.
We got a big old roasted pig.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Whole thing sitting on the table when we walked in the room. It was amazing. I don't know if they do duck, but I'm sure Pete and Kim would. You'd have to win the game first, though. And what are the odds? Can we get one of the big ones, Jeff? If we lose to Penn State, can we get Oregon after a bye week in Kinnick Stadium?
One-word answer.
Can we get them?
Quivering breath.
As the question was presented, yes, we can get them. I will say that this is. It's weird. I've gone on like an off-season odyssey with Oregon and Oregon fans in that right after the year, I think everybody just assumed Oregon was going to just roll to another 12-0 or 11-1 season. Then sometime in the offseason, people started crapping on the Ducks and start to pick holes with them that I almost wound up becoming a Duck defender a little bit, saying, this is still an extremely talented team. So I will say this, I would have rather caught Oregon early in the year. They have just shitloads of talent. I mean, they have 3 levels of talent at almost every single position. I hate
they have all the money.
They do. Uncle Phil spends it well in the Pacific Northwest up there. So
I just saw that he donated $2 billion to a cancer center not $2 million, $2 billion.
I mean, if you got it, right?
Kyler Casper, by the way, Iowa Legacy, finally in the 1 line of their starting on their depth chart right now on our lads. So he is their extra starting receiver at X.
Yeah,
if he scores, that's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt if he scores touchdowns on us in Kinnick Stadium.
Yeah, I played with Kevin. I guess now that I wonder how's he gonna dress that day.
Dude, he's a Hawkeye, man.
He is a Hawk. There's no doubt about that. Yeah,
he still reps them hard all the time. He tags me in stories. He'll tag the walk-ons in stories. I think
he'll just wear like a shirt with a big football on it. Just here to enjoy something. Can't pick a side.
I want both teams to win. Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah,
what's the formula for how they win that game if they do?
So Basically, when you get to the top teams, you just start nitpicking. It's what people do. It's more fun to do that. So if I would nitpick Oregon, I am not in love with their offensive line. You guys, you back me up on this or fight me on it or whatever, but I don't like an offensive line that's hodgepodge together. I like an offensive line that is dudes that know each other, room together, fight, wrestle, make up, talk all the time. That's what Iowa, like the best Iowa offensive lines or any offensive lines are. This is an Oregon offensive line that's patchwork together with lower level transfers. They got one guy from USC to come over. That's why I would have rather have seen Oregon at the beginning of the year. Dante Moore, their quarterback, 5-star quarterback. I got to tell you, most of the times I hear 5-star quarterback, I don't even know until I see it on the field. It just, not saying it's nothing. He didn't look good. He didn't look great when he played at UCLA. So there are question marks here to exactly see what this offense looks like. Ironically, it's Oregon's defense that is really fantastic. So I see a low scoring game here. So if you want a sliver of, hey, a good thing, I kind of like, the Hawks and KF and low scoring games. We have the potential of that game looking like that. So maybe it winds up being
if we got Oregon like 13-10. Iowa versus Oregon 13-10 that is in November, isn't it? Early November.
It is.
Yeah, November 8th. So
that's not even borderline erotic. That's just straight erotica right
that
there.
Is
like
fully tented. Yeah,
fully. 13-10 Iowa over Oregon. Tyler, I haven't even thought about that till just now. Dude, God, guys, I am so excited for college
the
football.
country will just be like, oh my God.
Oh, that would be absolutely
Sickos
incredible.
Committee on Twitter will be going off. That account will just be make their day. But they're good. Is this a win or a loss in your prediction?
I have this as a loss. Of Iowa's 3 losses, this would be the one that was closest for me to switch to a win. And I would point out there's other wins that I would be close to a loss. So, but ultimately, and again, you guys know this stuff as much as I do. It's been a tick since we've seen our Hawks take on one of these top line teams and beat them. I'm not from Missouri, but you got to show me. You got to show me you can do that. And until I see it, it's just hard to predict it.
Yeah. Some might say we're due. Some might say we're
I like that too. Yeah.
Next one's tough. A lot of people are worried about it. I'm worried about it. I have that feeling about this game that you do about Wisconsin, although not a little harder to not have it against the Trojans, because I think USC is supposed to be better than Wisconsin. Let's go. Let's take a look. Yeah, USC on that same 6-3 line as Iowa in your predictions within the conference. We have to go to the West Coast. We have to go play in the Coliseum. Lincoln Riley versus Kirk Ferentz, the Showdown.
Yep.
Kind of cool.
Yeah. Good uniform game. Just throw that out there. I love USC's uniform. That is a classic college football uniform. Shout out to the Song Girls. Oof, they do it right there. That's their cheerleaders. Just to prove,
okay,
just to solidify my
okay, it's fine.
Just to solidify my dirty old man status, in case it was even remotely up in the air. But
I love that.
So again, we'll nitpick a little. Just an awful offensive line. This is probably, other than Purdue and Maryland, maybe the worst offensive line in the Big Ten. I don't know what they're doing on the offensive line. It boggles my mind. They had 2 really good offensive linemen last year. One went to the NFL and one went to Oregon. So it's what they got to come up is not good.
Max quarterback in primetime game.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope if what I'm hearing about Brian Allen, if what we're hearing about our South Dakota transfer, I hope we see our defensive line eat in this game. This has got to be a rush for and get heat almost every play. That's what we need to see in this game to pull out the win. The only thing, is that Lincoln Riley, the dude, like having a great offensive line it's just not even up, in the top 5 things that Lincoln Riley thinks about when building a football team. Now that got him stung a couple times last year. A lot of people are not in love with Jaden Maeva, who is their quarterback. He's a little turnover prone. Okay. So then they got a 5-star quarterback behind him. What USC team are we getting at that time? I got him 8-4 overall because I have him losing to Notre Dame. So that psyche, of the USC, what version of the Trojans we get. But man, you already said it. When we go out to the West Coast, when has it looked good? When has it felt good? I need to see it. I don't know what it is about it, but I don't know. Couldn't get it out of my head. That's why this was Iowa's third loss right here.
L number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
what's the level of heat on the seat that Lincoln Riley is sitting on right now? Like, is it like hot to the touch right now? Is it just like a little like second level on the heat warmer in the car? Like, where is it at?
It's scorching, man.
Okay.
Even over Nebraska fans, USC fans get the off-season douchebag award like many times over. They cleared everybody. I don't know if I know it was before you guys' time, but my first taste with USC fans was the 2003 Orange Bowl, after the 2002 season. Iowa fans are down there all week, just partying our asses off on South Beach. The USC fans show up the day of the game. It's a night game, the day of the game. And I remember talking to a USC fan. I'm like, dude, where are you? I'm a young man. I'm like, where you been, man? Like we've been partying. He's like, we're from Southern California. We don't need to come to a place like this to have a good time. And that was, and every other instance of USC fans that I've run into has been much the same. They have completely forgotten. I predicted them 7-5 last year, and you would have thought USC fans, like they thought I was the biggest idiot in the world. They went 6-6. Okay, they finished 7-6. I pretty much nailed them. Now I think they're better this year. What's crazy is, Grant asked a great question. Is he on the hot seat? Yes. You wouldn't know it by talking to USC fans now, but if they've already got 2 or 3 losses heading into this game, which they absolutely could. Scorching hot seat.
I would love that. I hope we can go and reverse it. I would love to win out on the West Coast. It would give closure on our horrible game against Stanford for me.
So we could be going to that game 7-2. That's what I have predicted.
Yep.
I feel like that's a game, you guys tell me, but where I just sit back and watch it. I don't have a ton of expectations for that game. If it's good, I'm pulling positives out of it. If it's not so good, flush it and just move on. It's probably going to be a late night game if it's on the West Coast. Just turn off the TV, go to bed, wake up the next morning, go to church and, spend time with the family type of deal. But man, if we beat them, that's fun. That's fun times.
That would be very fun. 2 more games left on the schedule. We get to come home for our final home game. It'll be senior day against Michigan State, the Spartans, who also got us last year in a game where the Hawkeyes forgot how to tackle. Do we remember how to tackle this year? Jeffrey the Greek.
That's got to be in the Hall of Fame, Mount Rushmore or whatever, for most perplexing games of the last 10,
That was
15
one of the more
years.
frustrating games I ever watched. Yeah.
I cannot imagine what Phil Parker was feeling during that game.
I just remember texting my buddies like, what is going on here? And the thing is, you get to know Sparty fans. They're a seedy fan base, even them, they break down last year and they're like, they still don't know how to explain the Iowa game. Both teams, it's like they, what's Freaky Friday is back out. It was like they Freaky Friday each other in that game last year. So Michigan State was a team that they were going to be my surprise team. I was going to put that Michigan State 7-5 or 8-4 prediction on the wall, and everybody was going to point and laugh, and then it was going to happen, and I was going to look like a genius. And then I dug into them, and I'm like, oh, I love their coach, Jonathan Smith, but there is a lot of work to do on this roster, especially along the lines. I quizzed my Michigan State guys, like, what's going on with the O-line, D-line? It's just two hands up in the air. So they have Aiden Childs is feast or famine. I mean, he is the epitome of feast or famine type of quarterback. They got a really talented wide receiver who looked very good against our depleted secondary when we played them last year. So it's in Kinnick. I think there might be a little bit of a, Iowa, we need to atone for what happened last year. Advantage along the lines that gives me the win in Iowa, feeling a little bit better heading into Black Friday.
And it's a big one. Always is. Nebraska, last one of the year. Maybe a big one for you, Jeff, with all the conversation back and forth. I mean, so many people talk themselves into the corner. Maybe not you specifically, but all these people. I just sit there and I go, how do these people? How do they put out these thoughts and opinions? And then if they lose, do they have to go clear their entire Twitter feed? Is it just a mass cleansing? How can you have all of that out there?
They better hurry, because your boy here has got some bookmarks
bringing receipts
waiting to go if it goes.
Bringing receipts.
Yeah.
I hope it's 13-10 and we win just like we did the last 2 years. I hope we just keep doing that.
It is written. Yeah. By the way, just a second on that. I know we already talked about it before, but I don't know about you guys. I just can't do it. I can't say things like Iowa's going to win the next 10 games in this series. Even though we've won 9 of the last 10, does anybody here think we're going to win the next 9 out of 10 versus Nebraska? It's not even though we've got history to point at, I still can't say that, it's just not in me to say things like that.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I rarely say publicly that Iowa is going to win a game, even against lesser opponents, let alone Nebraska, who, as much as they feel like a fly on that you have to keep swatting, they are a threat.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the year that they finally break out of their shtick and they return to Nebraska football. What do you think?
Well, so you guys probably see it all the time. You can't, avoid it on the feed, but this is Matt Rule's 3rd year. There has been a Matt Rule 3rd year bump, at his previous places. So I totally get that. When Matt Rule took the job, my quote was, "There's an adult back in the room," because there sure as heck was not when old Frosty was in Lincoln. And certainly Rule has done an excellent job of rebuilding the culture, rebuilding the talent in the locker room. There's a lot of good I see with this Nebraska team. Certainly right now you're projecting what this Nebraska team will look like, almost in December as we're sitting in August, so things can change quite a bit. To me, this is a Nebraska team that is 1 year away. That's what I said on the podcast. There is there's a lot of talent, but it's a lot of young talent that's on the team. I like their offensive line, but as what's fun with Nebraska fans is if I don't pour out my love for their offensive line, they're like, "Why don't you like our offensive line?" I'm like, I think your offensive line is fine. I don't think it's great. The running back room is essentially a one trick pony right now. Emmett Johnson's a good pony, but we'll see how healthy and how that room looks like. Dane Key is a wide receiver they got from Kentucky, really good. Wish he would have found a different landing spot than Lincoln. Not as in love with their receiving core after Dane Key. So I don't think their offense is going to be quite as good as what Nebraska fans and a lot of people in the media seem to think they are. Dylan Rail is good. Okay, Dylan Rail is good. It's not me besmirching him. I just need to see a better downfield ball. I need to see better decision making in crunch time. Iowa game is a perfect example. Like, he just kind of falters when the game is really on the line. So if we're thinking this is going to be a tight game, which I think all 4 of us are, that has to factor in for me right there.
It's like every year you sit down on the couch and the ball's kicked and you're like, all right, here we go. And it's I think the one thing that is scary to me with Nebraska is like that first to second year improvement from Raiola. If he like really makes a big jump with 1 year under his belt and he's starting to look like a 5-star should progressing wise, it's like, ooh, okay, that's dangerous.
Yep.
But then again, like there's so many question marks on the Iowa side, especially on our side now. We're 12 games in. What if we have things rolling? What if our offense is figured?
For sure.
Now we're 25 games into the Tim Lester era, right? Like we're starting to figure some shit out. So I don't know.
I would have been mad if I didn't bring this up, and I know it's towards the end of the podcast, but speaking of Tim Lester, do you guys get as annoyed as me where just the flat out laziness of many people, this isn't even direct shots at Nebraska fans, are they aware that Iowa did hire an offensive coordinator a year and a half ago and how much better the offense looked last year? It essentially you just read the same boneheaded takes like, well, it's Iowa's offense. Maybe there's a chance that Iowa's offense it could be better this year and actually have a throw game. And guys, I don't know about you, but I think Tim Lester might be one of the best kept secrets in the entire conference right now, running the Shanahan system that I guarantee you, if you talk to, had a couple, amateurs with some of the defensive coordinators on Iowa's schedule, methinks some of them are like, shit, what has this guy got in store? So like, this is one of the games where you're hoping this is where Tim Lester makes his money, so like, I'm pretty bullish on Tim Lester, and you brought up a good point. Like, what could the Iowa receivers look like by the time they're in their 12th game?
Yeah, it would be great if Coach Tim could just go deep into the bag, and we could just smoke Nebraska. That'd be great. It's like, oh, this is the year. It's year 3. We're gonna get over the hump of Iowa. We're gonna bring Nebraska back, and then this is actually the year that we beat them by like 17 points in a game that is like just controlled the entire time. That would be the treat. The gift that keeps on giving for next offseason. Yeah. So it's obviously you have this as a win to end the season. 3 losses. The big dogs in Penn State and Oregon plus USC out on the West Coast. Iowa goes 9-3. Very likely not good enough to get into the playoff for this year, but a success in has to be the vast majority of Hawkeye fans' eyes, I would say, if it pans out like that.
Well, if that's a 9-3 team or that beats all 4 of their rivals, if that does not make you happy as a Hawkeye fan, find a different hobby on Saturdays. I'm sorry, but we got some of our own fans too.
100%.
Right? Like when you're pointing the finger, there's 3 pointing back at you. So like, if that's not good enough, I don't know what to say. I would even say 8-4 and win 3 out of the 4 rival games, as long as that rival game is lost is not Iowa State. I still think that's really good. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Where do you guys stand?
On 9-3 being successful,
or 8-4, right? Where do you think that line of demarcation?
I told Kevin on our last show, I think 8-4 is the floor of what can be considered successful. And with that 8-4, assuming that 2 of the losses are to the 2 big guys coming into Kinnick, they have to be competitive losses. They can't be. It can't be a season where you lose.
Great point.
It can't be a season where you lose to Penn State, Oregon, USC, and let's say we beat Nebraska and Iowa State.
Let's say
it's Wisconsin. Let's say it's the Wisconsin game that you were scared of. It's Perfect. Those 4, and the Wisconsin and the USC games are kind of close, but the Oregon and the Penn State games, I mean, they beat us by 3 scores. It's not even a game in the 4th quarter. I think that is where it starts to teeter to. Okay, so we didn't do bad, but were we ever really flirting with greatness? I think the way Kevin and I put it last was like, it's not good to just not do bad, right? Like that's not, you meet expectations, but that's not the goal. So if you can go 8-4 and you beat Oregon or Penn State, I'm sure those other 4 losses are now going to contain 1 or 2 that you're like, okay, now we beat Penn State, but we can't but we couldn't beat
we dropped one versus
Michigan State or something. Yeah, you're like, okay, why? But that at least gives you that fun game to look back on, and kind of it anchors the season as like, oh, remember in 25 when we beat number 3 Penn State, 8-4, good season.
Yeah, you're bringing up such excellent points. This is, my brother Doug, Darren, we talk Hawkeye football, all year long. And that's something that we talk about is, the style of the record, 8-4, 9-3. I think one thing we're all doing right now, this isn't, certainly not me trying to just put this on Tyler or whatever, but we're all, I think, picturing how bad our offense looked in the big games the previous 4 years or so, right? Is that kind of what we're bringing to the table?
Yeah.
Maybe we don't have that. Maybe we don't have that.
Sure.
Maybe when you have a little bit more competent quarterback and receivers, you're able to convert more 3rd and 7 pluses to keep drives going, to get points on the board. So like a 9-3 season where 2 of the 3 losses were 8 to 23, 28 to 27. That does feel a lot better than 9-3 when the 3 losses were 31 to 6. I mean, there is no doubt about that.
So here's my thing is I don't think anybody on this podcast, or really much of the Iowa fan base in general, is expecting the offense to look anything like it has the previous 4, like the 21 through 23 era. You can say last year as well. But do we have the defense that pulled us through that era to, go to a couple Big Ten championship games? Like, do we still have that same caliber of defense this year in your mind?
Another, Kevin, thank you for bringing this up. That would have been another thing I'd have been ticked at myself for not bringing up. Are you guys not annoyed at this? All of a sudden, the wheels are falling off the Iowa defense.
Yeah.
It was the 20th ranked defense last year. There are teams that have gone 25 years with not having a defense as good as Iowa's was last year. So you know what I mean? It's not like it was horseshit.
Oh no, I'm not saying it was horseshit. I'm not saying it's gonna be horseshit.
And I'm not saying you.
But
I'm not saying you.
Are we gonna see 2022, 2021 like top 10, top 5 defenses, right?
I don't know if I see that level of defense. Man, Campbell was a special.
I
think he was
special.
I don't think people, when you're as equally as good dropping back in coverage as you are going up to fill holes, you're a pretty good special linebacker. And by the way, stayed healthy. That was another thing that he excelled at. The guy was he's an all-timer. So like, I don't see that defense, especially when you look at, the second level. So like, I expect the linebackers to be solid. It's hard for me to picture them being elite. This is
about
the question
Jay Higgins, though, backfilling
for
Jack
sure.
Campbell.
For sure. And I want to put this back out to you guys. This is what I thought I saw last year. I don't want to name names, but I saw 2 D-backs that maybe were thinking about the next stage in life as opposed to what they were doing on Saturdays. Then you mix that with a couple injuries and young guys are in. Now, suddenly, what should have been a plausibly deep secondary was razor thin. And coordinators aren't stupid. They now saw how our offense was putting points on the board, and they got aggressive, and they took advantage of some cornerbacks and guys in the secondary that weren't quite ready to roll, mixed with a defensive line that lacked some athleticism getting to the quarterback. So that's what I saw for the quote unquote big plays. It wasn't something that was happening all year long, but Iowa fans have been so spoiled that we never saw big plays like that, or so rarely, that when you saw it multiple times in a couple different games, it shocked us.
It's got a little bit of burn factor to it.
I think to cap this all off, and you kind of just mentioned it right there, is you can make all the predictions you want based off the roster that we have right now. You don't know that that's going to be the roster in week 3, 5, 9, or 12, right?
Certainly
like
12,
injuries are a huge part of how a a team's fate kind of lines up that year. My mind goes to the cornerback is like, but like where can we not afford to be losing people this year?
And I just want to say, in general, I love Iowa's depth. I at one point was maybe a little bit concerned, but I'm telling you guys, it's a fun exercise if you go through all of these teams and you start realizing how big of a concern depth is for everybody. So if Iowa fans are having troubles going to sleep at night thinking of the depth, that shouldn't be a huge concern. That is not to say we got all Big Ten guys that, in the 2 deep and everything like that. But I think the depth is good, definitely upper echelon of the Big Ten. But I think you already named it right there. We need to see cornerbacks stay healthy. We saw some guys out at the open practice a week ago or 2 weeks when some people listened to this. So we need some cornerbacks back and to stay healthy. So that's probably my biggest concern. But I think I like the depth everywhere else. I have been slow to come around to the Iowa defensive line. I still don't know if I see that guy on the D line that keeps offensive coordinators up at night, for just being an unblockable person. But if we could come in waves of fresh bodies, then I'll feel a lot better. That helps the secondary too. So yeah, corner. I don't know. I don't know if I think we got depth at quarterback. I think Hardware Hank's, playing pretty well too. So I don't know. That's about it. Is that too Hawkeye?
No.
Did I just put the Hawkeye color glasses on?
No. Here's our fun exercise to finish the podcast and tie it all together with Jeff's predictions. I brought up the FanDuel odds and over under win totals for this season, and I'm going to give you, based on Jeff's. If you like what Jeff's putting out, then here's 3 good bets for you: the Iowa over 7.5, the Maryland under 4.5. And the Washington over 7.5. High on the Huskies, up in that tier at the 9-3 level.
You could put Minnesota in there too. I predict them as an 8-win team, and their season total 6.5. So you look at Iowa. It was 7.5 last year. Iowa's, if you got it early enough in the summer, I think it finished at 8. So even with Iowa having a quote unquote bad year, we still hit or went over our season total. Here's a fun little exercise. Let me ask you this. Anybody anybody can answer it, but who has the tougher schedule, Iowa or Nebraska?
Iowa by a lot.
Yeah.
Yet their season win total is 7.5, just like Iowa. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge from Vegas on how they think about Iowa compared to Nebraska.
There you go.
I think they're just begging people to bet the Nebraska over. They've been making so much money on it for the last decade of people betting the Nebraska over. It's like, we just got to keep these people betting.
But still, it sets at 7.5.
They like you.
Why would they not just nudge it up to 8?
They like you. They like us so
That's
much. They just, in Vegas, always want you to win, right? That's how they are historically. So of course they want.
Well, anybody who's interested in making a bunch of money, they can head to that FanDuel app, America's favorite sports book, and we are presented by them this year. Go bet your over-unders. Take Jeff's advice or his backed research for this season.
I do not bet on or against the Hawks. That is a gambling rule that I made years and years ago.
Better than us.
Nothing stings worse than an unexpected Iowa loss that you also had to pay 2 units.
What about totals, man? What about totals? Because that Iowa under was just a gorgeously profitable bet for a few years there.
Yeah, and how about Iowa overs?
Last year, how about the overs?
Yeah, we talked on the Oregon game and how fun that would be if that was a 13-10 game. But to be honest with you, like, you want to hear a surprise bet right here? Have you guys seen the average Iowa State score for 11 o'clock games? It's like average like a 60-point total or something like that. It's bonkers. I do think the Iowa State game will have more points on the board than what people think right now. So that'll be a little small one I'll throw out there right now. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much Vegas has adjusted Iowa's game totals pretty early in the year. Like it took them a while last year to catch on.
There you have it. We did 80 minutes last time with Jeff. He gave us damn near 100 tonight. This is going to come out on Thursday. It's here, folks. It is here. This is the last podcast you listen to before college football happens.
Wow.
We're gonna know a little bit about the Iowa State Cyclones in just a couple days after this falls on your ears. So thank everybody for listening.
Are you guys? Oh,
no, you're good. Go for it.
Let me cut you off there. Are you guys? It would be better for Iowa if Iowa State won that game. Is it in your DNA in any capacity?
No, I would
never.
No. And want them to have absolutely nothing ever.
Zero happiness, sir.
There you have it. Jeffrey the Greek on Twitter. Buch, thank you for another great episode. Go follow him and the podcast Eyes on Big. Got it right this time. And you'll be getting content from both of us all season long. Until next time, peace.